In today's lesson, you are going to learn 7 effective methods that will help you study English when you're alone. Are you ready? Well then, let's jump right in. Method number 1, the 5-minute daily story. Now, this method helps you build your English fluency by speaking about your day for 5 minutes straight without stopping. The focus is your day, what happened. So here's how you can do this. You're going to speak for 5 minutes about something that happened today, but you want to choose simple, everyday topics. What did you eat? Who did you speak to? Maybe about your commute to work. The focus is on speaking continuously about that event, about that situation, about that activity for 5 minutes straight. Now let's see an example of how this would actually work. For example, a shorter version. This morning I woke up later than usual, so I rushed to the kitchen to make breakfast. While preparing oatmeal, I accidentally spilled some on the counter. It annoyed me at first, but then I laughed because it reminded me how clumsy I can be. Honestly, the whole situation was stressful, but I just went with the flow and didn't let it ruin my day. Now, this example was not for a full 5 minutes because I'm just showing you a shorter version. But notice we were speaking about eating oatmeal, preparing breakfast in the morning. That is the event, the situation, the activity that was chosen for today's 5-minute story. So again, you want to choose something that you're doing on a regular basis or something simple. Now, in this example, you saw that there were 2 new expressions, new terms. So I want to break these terms down for you very quickly. The first one was clumsy. Good again, clumsy. Good, this just refers to someone who often drops things or has small accidents, a clumsy individual. The expression we saw was go with the flow. Go with the flow. Now, this expression just refers to relaxing and accepting things as they happen. Hey, something fell. It's okay. Go with the flow. Don't worry about it. So we have clumsy and go with the flow. So again, method number 1 is the 5-minute daily story. This leads us to method number 2. Method number 2 is describe what you see. Describe what you see. This method trains you to observe and describe your surroundings in detail, building descriptive vocabulary and fluency. It's a very effective way to improve your English fluency even when you're studying by yourself. Observe what's around you. Now, how can you do this effectively? How can you implement or utilize this method? So you're going to pick an object, a room, or an image. Describe it using details and add your opinions or feelings, right? You're seeing the object, you're seeing the room, and you're going to describe what you're seeing, but then add your opinion about that thing, add your opinion about that object, and then describe your feelings as well. All right, I'm looking at my coffee mug. It's a small white ceramic mug with a blue rim. The design is very minimalistic, and I like it because the handle fits perfectly in my hand. Drinking from it helps me start off on the right foot each morning. I described this coffee mug that I was holding, right? But I also spoke about the feelings related to what I was doing. Now, you also saw that there were 2 new terms, minimalistic and start off on the right foot. Again, we're speaking about the second method. Now, there were 2 terms, the first term being minimalistic, which just means simple style with few elements. I like a minimalistic approach. And start off on the right foot. It just refers to beginning something well, doing something great from the very beginning. So again, our second method, describe what you see. This leads us to our third method. Our third method is the 3 things method. I love working in 3s or speaking in 3s. The 3 things method. This method helps you reflect on your day and practice organizing your thoughts clearly in 3 simple parts. So let's break this down, how you can actually utilize this method. So you're going to say one thing you did today. Think about your day, the activities you did, the people you met. Say one thing you did today, one thing you learned, and one thing you plan for tomorrow. Again, one thing you did today, an activity, one thing you learned, and then finally, one thing you plan for tomorrow. Now we have these three things. Again, the method, the three things method. Now let's check out an example utilizing this three things method. Keep in mind, again, one thing you did today, one thing you learned, and one thing you'll do tomorrow. Here's the example. Today I cooked pasta. I learned the word efficient, which means doing something without wasting time. Tomorrow, I'll watch a podcast episode to stay on track with my English goals. Today, what I learned, and also what I'm going to do tomorrow. Now, we did see two new terms again, efficient and stay on track. Efficient just means productive without wasting time. And stay on track just means continuing to progress toward a goal. Stay on track. So again, our second method we spoke about. Now we have our third method, the three things method. So you're understanding even when you're alone, you still can study and learn English to improve your fluency. Now we're moving on to method number 4. Method number 4 is expand every answer. Expand every answer. This method trains you to give longer, more detailed answers instead of short responses, helping you sound more conversational and confident. You need to expand your answers. Now, how do you actually do this? How do you do this? So, you take a basic question, just a basic question, and you give one answer plus two details. Again, basic question, you give one answer and two details. This helps you to grow your speaking length. I gave my answer and then two details. Now I want us to check out an example of how this actually works. But before I give you the example, if you want to continue studying each and every day, being consistent, I want you to enroll in the system that I've created for you. It's called the 365-Day English Fluency System. One lesson each day of the year. You don't have to think about it. All you have to do is go to www.speakenglishwithtiffany.com/365 system. Again, www.speakenglishwithtiffany.com/365 system. I've prepared it for you to follow each day of the year to improve your English. Now, with this method we're speaking about now, method number 4, there's an example right here. I ate oatmeal because it's nutritious and because it helps me start my day off strong. I ate oatmeal because it's nutritious and because it helps me start my day off strong. What did I do? Ate oatmeal. Two details. Nutritious and helps me start my day off strong. Now, what does the term nutritious mean? Nutritious just means healthy. And start my day off strong just means begin with energy. So we see method number 4, a very powerful method to use when you're studying alone. Expand every answer. You're giving the answer and then two details. Leading us to method number 5. Method number 5 is summarize and react. Again, summarize and react. This method helps you practice critical thinking and speaking by summarizing content you've consumed and then adding your own thoughts and reactions to it. Summarize what you've consumed and then share your thoughts, your opinions, your reactions. So how can you actually do this? Summarize something you read or watched. Think about something you read or that you watched. Summarize it. Then share your opinion on that thing that you read or watched, and then add a personal connection. Summarizing, giving your feelings, and then adding a personal connection. Now I want us to check out an example of this. So here we go. Summary plus opinion plus personal connection. I recently read an article about how remote work is changing the workplace. The article explained that most employees feel happier working from home because they have a better work-life balance. But some people feel isolated. Personally, I think remote work is revolutionary because it gives people more freedom over their schedules. This really speaks to me because when I study English at home, I can make the most of my time without distractions from commuting or office interruptions. Summarized, gave your opinion, and then a personal connection. This is why this method is so powerful. Summarizing, giving your opinion, and then a personal connection. Now, there were two terms. The first term was revolutionary. This just means causing major change or innovation. Revolutionary. The iPhone was revolutionary when it came out. And make the most of. This expression just refers to using something effectively to get the best results. Again, using something effectively to get the best results. This leads us to method number 6. Method number 6 is the what if game. Again, the what if game. Now, this method encourages creative thinking by asking imaginative what if questions and answering them freely, helping you practice spontaneous speaking and build confidence in expressing hypothetical ideas. What if? Conjecture, guessing, not sure. Let's check out how you can actually do this when you're studying alone. You're going to ask the imaginative question, what if? Think of different what if questions related to what you're discussing or what you're thinking about. Then answer freely. Build spontaneous speaking by doing this. Hey, what if this happens? What if this happens? And just think about it and give your own answers, okay? Here's what this would look like. What if? So, what would you do if you met your favorite teacher? Here's the response you could give. If I met my favorite actor or teacher, I'd be starstruck, but I'd break the ice by asking what inspires them. Now, the question said teacher, but the response said actor, so you can interchange them, okay? What would you do if you met your favorite teacher or your favorite actor? Again, just give an answer. What are your thoughts? Now, we did see these two terms. Starstruck just means amazed by someone famous. And then break the ice, start a friendly conversation. All right? So again, this method number 6, the what if game, just adding what if questions. This leads us to method number 7. Practice explaining how things work. Again, practice explaining how things work. This method helps you practice clear explanations and builds your ability to use sequence words and logical transitions while describing processes you already understand. It helps you practice giving clear explanations. So how can you actually do this? Let's break this down, all right? So you're going to choose a process or system that you already understand. Maybe how to bake a cake, maybe how to make tea. Think of a process you already understand. Then explain it step by step in English. As you're doing this, use transition words like first, then, and finally as you're going through the steps of the process. Let's see what this would look like again. Let me explain how to send an email. First, you open your email app and click on Compose to start a new message. Then you type the recipient's email address in the To field and add a concise subject line that gets straight to the point. Next, you write your message in the body section, making sure it's clear and polite. Finally, you review everything and click Send. The whole process is straightforward once you practice it a few times. Very simple steps, right? We've all sent an email before, right? So you're just explaining the steps in English. Now, there were 2 terms that were new. So the first one, actually 3. The first one was concise. It just means brief and to the point, getting right to the point. Next, straightforward. Now, straightforward just means simple and easy to understand. And finally, get straight to the point. This means to communicate directly without unnecessary details. I like getting straight to the point. I like helping you understand what is needed, what is necessary. Let's get straight to the point. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and I hope these methods help you. Don't forget, if you want to get straight to the point each and every day of the year and follow my system that will take you from intermediate to advanced, all you have to do is go to www.speakenglishwithtiffany.com/365 system and start following my daily system. I will talk to you in the next lesson. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. I said it's story time. All right. So today's story is a story that I have told many times, and it's a story that still makes me laugh when I think about the situation. So this happened when I was living in South Korea. And when I was in South Korea as an English teacher, we had interesting schedules. Our schedules would require us sometimes to teach class at 6 a.m., then teach class at 2 p.m., and then have a class at 8 p.m. So we taught all throughout the day. Now, even though we had breaks in the middle of the day, it was still quite tiring at times. So this semester, this term, I had a 6 a.m. class. So I lived with two other women, so we had a 3-bedroom apartment. They had a later schedule than me. So I would normally get home first, and I'd be knocked out before they finished their evening classes. So they would come home, and they didn't have to be quiet because I sleep quite well. I'm not a light sleeper. So they would come home and do what they had to do in the evening, but I would already be knocked out. So in the evenings, we really wouldn't talk as much because I was sleeping. Now, this one evening, it was the middle of the night. I think it may have been 11:30 or almost midnight, and I was knocked out. Again, my roommates were talking, but I didn't even hear them. But I kept hearing this noise above me, and it was getting louder and louder, and it sounded like a kid running around. Now, it's almost midnight. I'm in my sleep. I'm not a light sleeper. And I hear this stomping, then I hear screaming, and then yelling, like a kid, though. Like, he's not listening to his parents. And I tried to withstand, but it woke me up out of my sleep. So I'm very tired because I have to get up again. I teach at 6 a.m., so I had to get up at 4 a.m. to prepare. So it's midnight, and I'm hearing him screaming, and I'm like, okay, it'll stop soon. Nope. Kept screaming, running around the house. So I said, I'm going to have to go upstairs. And remember, I'm in Korea. I was in Korea. Our apartment, we spoke English, but everyone else in that building spoke Korean because they were Koreans. But I spoke Korean at this time. So I got up and I opened my door, and it's midnight. So my roommates were in shock like, Tiff, because I never was awake when they got home or when they were up talking. And I looked at them and I said, I'll be back. And they were like, okay. Because it was loud. They could hear it too. So I put my house shoes, I had my pajamas on, I put my house shoes on, my shoes on to go out, the sandals, and I walked upstairs and I knocked on the door. Now again, I want you to think about this. I'm an African-American woman. I'm living in South Korea. My students know me, but other people don't know me in the building. So I knock on the door at midnight. The door opens. Now, of course, the woman is in shock because first she's thinking, do I have to speak English? I don't know English. And there's this black woman in front of my door. What? I could see it written all over her face, but I was too tired. And I saw the little boy standing next to her. So I looked at her, looked at the boy, looked back at her. And I knew it was a mom trying to control her kid, and I knew it was rough, but I was tired. So I looked at her, and then I started speaking Korean. And then I saw the shock again come on her face. She relaxed because she didn't have to use English, but she was also in shock, like, what's happening right now? It's the middle of the night. Who is this woman? And she's speaking to me in Korean. In Korean, I said, ma'am, I have to get up for work in the morning. I teach class at 6 a.m. And I just was rattling all this off in Korean. I have to sleep. I'm not a light sleeper, but your son is running around and screaming, and I need him to be quiet, and I need to go back to sleep. Please take care of him. And I was very respectful. Her response caught me off guard. I just said that, and I asked her to please quiet him down. He's standing right there. She looks at me and says, I can't. Can you? I said, what? So it kind of woke me up, and I was like, huh? She said, I'm trying. So I looked at the little boy. I said, little boy, again, all in Korean, I have to sleep. So what you're not going to do is make any more noise the rest of the night. Do you understand me? Again, probably the first African-American woman he has ever seen. He looked at me. Yes, ma'am. I said, thank you very much. I'm going back downstairs. I don't want to hear anything else. I'm going to sleep. She looked at me and said, thank you. I said, you're welcome. And I went back downstairs, opened the door. My roommates looked at me and I said, everything's fine. And I went back to my room, shut my door, and I was knocked out, and I did not hear another noise the rest of the night. After that, I never heard another noise. Slept well. Now, it got even funnier because a few days or maybe a week or two later, I was telling my roommates exactly what happened. And my roommate that lives on the opposite side of our apartment, so she lived on the master bedroom side, which is where I guess the mom lived. She said, well, Tiff, I'm so happy that happened. She said, now it's louder on my side. I said, what do you mean? The little boy now was in his mom's room. He said, I can't make any noise on that side where that lady lives, but on the opposite side, my mom's room, I'm going to make noise. So my roommate now was hearing it. But she was a night owl, so she was awake, but she was just like, now I have to deal with the Tiff. So we just laughed. But again, I was very respectful. The lady was very appreciative, and I never even saw them again after that. But I also never dealt with any noise. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I'll talk to you next time.